Okay, 102 seems like a good time to get started. So I'll start with introducing myself. If you haven't met me yet, I am Johnny. I'm Pozotron's Customer Outreach Manager. I'm here today to talk to you about Pozotron. And what we're going to do is focus on the core functionalities, the main areas that Pozotron can help you in your um, narration productions. So if you aren't familiar with Positron, or if this is your first time taking a look at it, this is a perfect place. Or if you just want to get back to the original features, we also update our platform all the time. So if you're curious if there's any new features, we'll get into those as well. I'll get started here. So the agenda for today, we're going to start with our script prep tools. Then we'll go into proofing and reporting. Finally, we'll look at the audio analysis and best practices. So a couple of things to keep in mind whenever you're using Positron to make sure it works as smoothly as possible. And leave time for any questions, but feel free to interrupt at any point with questions you have, and I'll keep an eye on the Q&A box to answer those as they come up. Okay, so I'm going to move to Positron here, and we'll go back to the home page. So when you log into Positron, this is what you'll see. And all you need to get started with using our product is the script. So we're going to upload the script by clicking this Create New Project button here. We really only need a title and the manuscript that you're using. We want to make sure it's a PDF, EPUB, or Word document. All of those will work fine, but there is some additional functionality using a PDF, so those are generally recommended. We also have some settings here for sensitivities, for turning on noise detection, and you can kind of influence how strict our algorithm will be. And this is important if you are, depending on what kind of project you're doing. An example I like to use is if you're doing a fiction book about pirates, for example, and a lot of the dialogue is going to be speaking in a pirate accent or something like that. A positron will potentially give you some false positives there. So if you're going to be speaking in a heavy accent, one tip we use is to use our proofing sensitivity here, and you can actually move this to relaxed. This will generally just make some mistakes. It'll definitely catch the glaring mistakes, but it generally produces less false positives. Or if you want positron to be extremely sensitive, although there might be more false positives, you can move it to the extra sensitive setting. But that's it. So once you've got those settings created, you'll hit this Create Project button down here, and we'll see the project populate down in your My Projects list. So to get started, I'll just click on one of these to come into the project. And we'll start with the prep tools. So before you've done any recording, Positron has a couple of tools to help you prevent pickups before you actually begin recording. We do that in a couple of ways. First, by using the pronunciation guide. So our pronunciation guide is an excellent tool. What we'll do is we'll actually scan every single word in your script when you upload it, and produce a list for you of all of the potentially hard to pronounce words that are found in the book. So you can take a look at that list by hitting this Open Suggestions button here. We can see you found 45 words here. And to give you an idea of what it's looking for, first, it'll check for capitalized rare words. So unique proper nouns, names of people, places, mythological gods, anything like that. Those will get pulled into this list here. It'll also look for complex words. So we actually had, to get this tool started, we had narrators go through line by line 150,000 words and decide if it was a complex word or a simple word. So any of those complex words will show up on the list. And we also take a look at the particular characters that build up a word. Based off of certain combinations of letters, we can kind of tell it's hard to pronounce. So those will get pulled in as well. And then any words that are not in the primary language of your script will also get pulled onto this list here. Now we can take a look at the list. If you want to research the pronunciation, you can hit this Add to Research List button, and it will search in whatever dictionary you have selected here. So we are actually, we're integrated with Oxford US, Oxford Great Britain, Forvo and Merriam-Webster. So you choose whatever your preferred dictionary is here. And when you add it to your list, you'll see that this has populated the phonetic spelling as well as a recorded pronunciation of the word.
Abortive.
So it's pulled this straight from Merriam-Webster, whatever dictionary you're using there. Looks like we have a question. It is useful to know which features are available based on the subscription level. Great question, Robert. We do have support articles outlining what features are available, but generally our features are all, they're available to all subscription levels, but the prices vary a little bit based on what subscription you're on. The only features that aren't available to everyone are publisher level ones where you have an enterprise to manage, so enterprise permissions, things like that. But if someone in the chat, maybe Lindsay or Adam or Daria, if you want to put in a link to our support articles, kind of showing the different features and what subscription level they're attached to, that'd be great. Thanks for your question. Okay, so here we've added a word here. You can also use the keys R and I on your keyboard to add words to your research list or ignore them. So if you don't have a word, if there's a word here that you don't need to research, you just hit the ignore button, it'll remove it. Also, if there's a word on here that you never want Pozotron to research for you, you can hit this little 3 icon button here and ignore the word in all projects. So it'll never suggest this particular word to you on the list. It's a great way to tailor it to your future projects and make it a little bit more accurate for you. So I can add some words here. I can also add any word I'd like to the list by typing it in the custom word field. So I'll add my name here. Looks like it was found.
Johnny.
It's a pretty good pronunciation of my name. So it's a really great resource to quickly research all of the words in your book. Now, depending on your workflow, you might read through the script first and produce a list of words that you identified yourself as these are words I want to look up. Maybe the author has a bunch of made up words, and you add those to the list. You can import a whole list to your pronunciation guide using a couple of options here. So importing a list here, you can copy and paste your list of words, pop it in here and hit save. It'll research them all at one time. So it's a great resource for that. Looks like we have another question. Julia, the RNI doesn't always work. Is there a reason for this? So it should always work. If it isn't for you, I can't think of a reason off the top of my head. You might be selected in, oh, Adam, raise your hand. Let's see if I can figure out how to pull you onto the chat so you can answer. Looks like you're here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hey, Adam.
Just quick hello. So the reason it may not appear to be working is when you click add to research, what we do is we actually send a call to the API, which is essentially a way for two different softwares to communicate. So if you say, click on add to research on anthropological, either with the R key or the button, we send a call to, in this case, Merriam-Webster, look up the word anthropological. If there is a delay, it's because the API for the dictionary that you've chosen is having a delay in response. So sometimes if you click R and there's a little bit of a delay, that's just because the dictionary that you're trying to call is responding slowly, essentially. So that if it appears to be not working, that's because you just have to press it and then wait a second because we are getting a delayed response from the dictionary.
Thanks, Adam.
No problem.
Should I leave you on here?
Or... Sure. I'll try not to jump in, but
if you need to, no worries. It looks like we got a big question in the chat from Tad. So give me a second while I read this. Just tried the pronunciation feature on my current project. It's a Jules Verne novel. Going through text and highlighting words one by one. There were maybe 150. My only complaint is that there doesn't seem to be a way to alphabetize the list. but even so is a significant time saver for me. Well, that's great to hear. It's a lot of words to go through. But so you should be able to alphabeticalize the list here by this button up here. So I actually have it sorted alphabetically right here. And if we scroll down, we can see that this list is following alphabetical. So there's a filter button here and a sort by. So make sure if you are trying to change the sorting method, use the sort by here. There's a ton of different options here for number of occurrences, word category, things like that, but alphabetically is here. So if I change this, we can see now it's number of occurrences. The highest count words will show up first, and alphabetically moves that here. So I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but if that isn't working for you, let us know. Should be pretty predictable now. No worries at all, Ted. That's what we're here for. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so let's say we're going through this list here. There's definitely going to be words like, let's find a word like "ferdy" here, that if I have Merriam-Webster selected, it's not going to find the pronunciation for this. It's, names of people, sometimes don't show up in major dictionaries. Also made up words that maybe the author has put in the book, things like that you're going to need to do a little bit more digging for. And we have a couple of things to help you with that. So if I find "ferdy" on the list, we see there's no phonetics here. Over on the right-hand side of the list, we have links to all of the main dictionaries that we're already integrated with, so Merriam-Webster, Oxford, and Forvo. We also have links to OneLook, which is a great online resource that scours the internet for every pronunciation for a word. Youglish and How'd-you-say are also really popular. So if I click on Youglish here, this will bring me to a video where someone is saying the word "ferdy." I can also skip to different pronunciations. So there we go. That's a pretty good pronunciation. Once you find the correct pronunciation, you can then add it to your list by hitting this little microphone button here and record the pronunciation. "Ferdy, ferdy." And also put in a phonetic spelling. I don't know IPA, so I'd do something like this. And I can also put the link to the resource where I found it right in this notes/URL section, so I have a reference to that pronunciation. Kelly, looks like we have a question. How do I set Pozotron to ignore some of the false positives? E.g., the author wants me to only narrate the first name of the main character instead of the last name, but Pozotron picks up all the occurrences of the last names not mentioned. That's a great question. So that's in the proofing section. I'll get to that a bit later. So I'll make sure to answer your question there, but there is a way to filter out certain kinds of annotations. So if you're always getting Pozotron flagging a particular word, you can filter that out so it stops doing that for the entirety of the project. So I'll get to that in a little bit, but that's a great question. Okay, so we can add our own pronunciations in here. The last thing I wanted to show you on the pronunciation guide is if you need some help, some collaboration from someone else, maybe the author, you need to invite them to the project so they can add the pronunciations to their wacky made up words. So there's a couple things you can do here. You can share the project with this blue share button with anyone you'd like. Just going to move that out of the way. All we need is their email address. You can also give them a role. So you type in their email here. This role will determine what they can see in Pozotron. So if you want to give them access to the pronunciation guide, but you don't want them to have access to all of your audio files until you're finished proofing, you can choose this researcher role. This just gives them access to the pronunciation guide and the character guide so that they can double check things or help you with the research. So you share it with them there. They'll get an email inviting them to the project where they can click and create an account and access this here. You could also, this is actually a brand new feature, but commenting is something you can do in Pozotron now. So if we click this little speech bubble, there's a way for you to communicate, really. So I could say to the author, hey, I need help with this word. Or what do you think of this word? Am I pronouncing this right? If I hit send here, that'll post it to the word. It also has a little notification here showing that there's been comments here. so that they can see which words they need help with or need to help you with. Let me know what you think about the comment feature. It's brand new. Curious how you would use it. Okay, let's come back here, move forward a bit. So that's it for the pronunciation guide. If you have any further questions on this, on your particular workflow, feel free to put any questions in there or set up a demo with us where we can go in one-on-one with you. The character guide works very similarly. We're going to scan the entire script for character names, though, in this case. So by hitting the Open Suggestions button, we'll see all of the names that Pozotron found here. To determine who you want to add to your list, we give you a couple of tidbits. So we actually show you how many times this character is mentioned in the book. We also show you the first occurrence of the word, so what page is first found on. You can hover over the name to see a couple of instances of where this character is mentioned. And then finally, you can add them to your character's guide. So I'm going to add Sherlock up here. So this is designed to be a repository for all the different characters in your book and all the different character voices. So if I add a character here, there's a few fields that I can fill out. First, I can actually upload a photo. And this is helpful if you want a physical representation of the character to kind of see who they are. Next is the character description. So we can say, who is this character? Sherlock is a brilliant detective who is generally rude to others. Let's save there. The character notes here. So what does he sound like? He's got a deep baritone. He speaks quickly and has a London accent. So these are just a couple of details about the character. Finally, you can record up to 30-second voice samples for a character. You can record as many samples as you'd like as well. So you would record that here. I'm not an actor, so I'm not going to attempt to, but it's really useful here to have all of your voice samples in one spot. We also have a card view here, so if you have a ton of different characters, you'll see the character photo, their details here, and their voice samples all next to each other. We do have some tools that should be coming out very, very soon to improve the character guide. One of those being the character descriptions tool. So I can't show you that yet, but it's very soon. So keep your eyes out for any announcement from us on when that will be available. But we're going to use our parsing abilities in Pozotron to take it to the next level, where we will pull character cues out of the book. So however they're described, if Sherlock is described this way in the book, it'll actually pull this out for you, as well as any descriptions of their voice or how they sound. We're going to have all of those pulled out so you can make sure you don't start recording a voice and then 10 chapters later you find out that they had an Irish accent the whole time. So we want to be able to pull all those cues out before you begin, so you're representing the voice the way the author intended. Yeah, that is pretty much it for the character guide. The last thing to show you on the script prep tools here, really handy feature is the export marked script button here. So if I want to mark up my script, automatically highlight all the characters and words on my pronunciation list, you can do so hitting this button. You can filter this to be only the information you want, but I'm going to include pretty much everything here and export a marked script. That'll download a PDF, and if I open it up, what we'll see is the same script that I uploaded in the first place. But if I find Sherlock, you can see that he's been highlighted in blue. All characters will be blue here. If I hover over Sherlock, I'll actually see the character descriptions and character notes that I put in for them. So a quick reminder, when you're in the booth, just hover over the word and you'll get a reminder of who they are, what do they sound like. So that can be helpful, as well as any word on your pronunciation list will be automatically highlighted in yellow. Here, if I hover over this word, I'll see the phonetic spelling that I put there, as well as a link to the audio recording. So I can click that link or copy and paste that to get a quick reference of how to say this word. Okay. Export marked script, so we just went over that. and transfer research. So this is a really important tool for when you're working on a series. So if Jacqueline, is there any way to change the highlight color for each character? Not yet. That is definitely a plan. Right now, it's just the blue for characters, yellow for pronunciation words. But we're making a number of changes, and one of those changes will be customizing the highlight color. Not sure exactly when this will be available, but we're also working on the dialogue detector tool to automatically highlight all the dialogue by a particular character with the export mark script tool. And then you'll be able to change the color of those of those highlights as well. So if you want to highlight all the characters, all the Sherlock dialogue as pink, yeah, you should be able to do so in the future. So we're working on that. But the transfer research tool, so if in the pronunciation guide and character guide, there is a transfer research button. And this allows you to pull all the research you've done from this project and put it into another one. So let's say you're working on book 1 for a series. You do all your research here in Pozotron. A year later, you're doing book 2. You could actually transfer all of the character voices and all of the words on your pronunciation list to another project here. And what we'll do is we'll, 1, transfer it, but 2, we'll also ignore any words or characters that don't reappear in the second book. So only the relevant voices and relevant words are going to be pulled over. So you are not starting your research from 0 this time. All of the previous work you did is still going to be helpful. So it's a great tool. And we'll move on. Proofing and reporting. Okay, so we'll move on to this next. Proofing in Pozotron is one of our bread and butter features. It's been around the longest. But essentially what we do, if you don't know, Pozotron uses AI to listen to your audio files. We actually will then convert that to text and compare it to your original manuscript. And that's how we're coming up with these suggestions. So any deviations from what was written are very accurately noted. So once you want to get started with the proofing, done all your research, you've now recorded everything, you just drag and drop your audio files in this window right here. These are a couple of files that I've uploaded. Takes around 5 minutes, 10 minutes to process a file, depending on how long it is. And you'll see this status bar changing as it goes through our processing steps. Once it is completed, you'll see the number here in the status window. This is just the amount of potential mistakes that Pozotron found. So we have 9 things to take a look at in this chapter. And to look at them in more detail, I'll hit the Open Proofing button here. So if I open up proofing, there's a lot of stuff we're looking at here, but I'll break it down for you. So the script is in front of us. This is also synchronized to your audio file. So if I click anywhere in the script, it will update the time bar at the top, and I can listen back from whatever point I click at. Any of these red underlines are the annotations Pozotron has marked. So these are potential mistakes. These have an associated card on the left-hand side where you tell Pozotron, this is okay, this is an error and I need to fix it, or there's a typo in the script. So we need a human to give us the feedback of, yes, this is wrong, or no, this is fine. So I'm going to play this short section here to kind of show you how it works. And Kelly, I'll answer your question in just a second, now that we're at the proofing stage.
Our audio proofing tool is designed to catch the key mistakes your narrator may make during narration, including words accidentally added into the script by the narrator.
So here the script says words added into the script. The narrator said words accidentally added into the script. So we can see Pozotron's flagged that as a word inserted. And I'm going to mark this as a pickup. And I'll move on to the next one.
Narrator. Words missed from the script. Of course.
So here the narrator did not say the words that should be narrated. So we flagged this as words missing. Mark that as a pickup.
Of course, it will find misperceptions and misspoken words.
They said the entirely wrong word here, but we'll definitely find mispronunciations, misreads, if you say the wrong word or anything like that. So I'll mark that as a pickup as well.
Pauses longer than 2 seconds. Noises.
Here the pause is longer than 2 seconds. You can filter this out and actually extend the threshold. So for example, this pause is 2.4 seconds here. If this pause is fine and I only want to catch pauses that are longer than this going forward, I can hit this filter out button and it'll ask me if I'd like to automatically filter out other pauses shorter than this one. If I hit yes, now the threshold is 2.4 seconds. So anything longer than that will get flagged as a mistake, and anything shorter than that will be ignored. Go ahead and play this.
Noises, including audio distortions.
Oh, so it looks like I don't have noise detection turned on when I created this project. So this is an interesting thing to show you. When you're creating a project, so if I return back here and I hit create new project, there's a toggle here to enable or disable noise detection. So if you turn it off, it will not flag the noises that are in this demo project that I've created. So this is the only time you can turn on or off noise detection. So it's totally up to you. But let's see if I have a different one with the noises enabled. Nope. Well, looks like I turned that one off, but we will also flag any noises. So audio distortions, it's pretty accurate as well with loud mouth sounds, doors closing, heavy breathing, things like that. It will catch, but it is in beta. So if you have any suggestions as you see these noise detected suggestions, definitely let us know. We're always trying to make that more accurate. All right, now Kelly, I'll answer your question here. Oh wow, you have a few questions. I'm so sorry, I didn't see those. So I'll answer all of your questions. First here, how do I set Pozotron to ignore some of the false positives? So for example, if like in your case where you're not saying the last name of the character, and every time that happens, Pozotron's flagging it as a mistake. So if I open up one of these annotations, words missing here, I can hit this filter out button, and anytime Pozotron sees that the words that should be narrated are not said, it will ignore that as a suggestion. So if I hit filter out on the rest of the project, it will not suggest that to me. For example, another time that's useful, in my favorite book, the character's name is Quoth, and it's spelled Kvothe. That's a pretty challenging, weird word that Pozotron might suggest as a mistake every single time. So that filter out button will ignore every single time Quoth has been mispronounced. So really useful for tackling those false positives. All right, I'm looking at the script pricing tiers. Can you briefly go through the tiers? Yes, definitely. I might do that at the end to go through, make sure we go through everything. But we also have a support article showing each of the tiers, what it costs and what the advantages are of each one if someone wants to put that in chat. But I will also go through that at the end of the webinar as well. Last one, I like what you're demonstrating on exporting the script. I use iAnnotate and normally bring that manuscript into Pozotron after I mark up. What's the most effective way to then use Pozotron in tangent with iAnnotate? That's a good question. A lot of people use iAnnotate for marking up their script. To be honest, I'm not sure what the best workflow would be, but I think since we can do the entire script for you and with a click of a button, we might be a better place to start. So if you start with Pozotron, you do your research, and then you'll highlight all of the the words and the characters. At that point, you could then bring it to iAnnotate and do any additional marking up that you require for your prep. I think that might be the best way to go, but let me know what you think. And if you find a better workflow, definitely let me know so I can recommend it. And a comment from Robert here, very useful to filter the list as open annotations. So here, it's a good point, Robert. So one thing you can do when you're in the proofing stage here is you can filter the list. So what's going to show up on the left-hand side here? By default, it shows all annotations, but I can actually change this to be only open annotations. So if I've already marked some things as mistakes or ignored them, those are now gone from the list, and I'm only seeing what's left to be taken a look at. So it's a great point, Robert, and something I don't recommend enough is filtering this list here. All right, now one more thing to mention on proofing is there are very rare things that Pozotron will not catch that we need a human touch for. Just things like directorial advice of, add more emotion here or something like that. If there's anything you notice that you'd like to make a annotation for, you can click and highlight any section of the text here, hit this little speech bubble button, and create a custom annotation. So if there's a note you want to leave yourself, or let's say you read all of the words of a dialogue correctly, but you use the wrong character's voice, Pozotron won't flag that as a mistake because really you said all the words right. So we could say, wrong character voice here and hit save. That will mark it as a custom annotation. Thinking if there's anything I'm missing here, I think that's it. So if you have any questions about this step, definitely let me know. But I'll move on to the next step, which is how to use this information. So actually, let me go through and mark the rest of these as pickups. That looks like I missed one as well. Okay, so we haven't actually changed anything in your audio files. So all we've done is marked exactly where each of these mistakes are and made them easier to find for you. At this point, you'll then need to go ahead and make those changes in your DAW. So a really handy tool here is using our import export button here for exporting DAW markers. So we support pretty much every DAW. DAWs are digital audio workstations. It's really just the software you're using to record. But here you can select whatever DAW you're using and hit the export button. This will download a file that imports straight into your recording software. So if I open up Audacity here and I pull that over so you can see it, I'm going to hit File here. I'm going to open up the chapter that I just proofed, which is right here. And now I'm actually going to import this file I just downloaded from Pozotron. If I go to in Audacity, let me do that again, actually a bit slower. If I go to File, Import Labels, this is the file that I downloaded. If I double click that, you can see that all of the pickups that I marked in Pozotron are now exactly where they are in the actual audio file. So I'm seeing where these pickups happen in my raw audio. So if I listen back to this,
narration, including words accidentally added.
So here the word and the accidentally inserted word, that's showing me exactly where this issue is. And a tip for anyone using Audacity here, there is a way to freeze your tracks. And this is really important when you're doing your pickup recording. If you make any changes to the audio file, if you don't have this turned on, it'll actually make all of the pickups now be out of sync. So with sync track locks or sync lock tracks, sorry, if I delete any section of the audio here, it automatically manipulates both of the tracks so that the pickups are always in the correct spot, even after making any changes here. So that is a great tip that I wanted to show you. Our DAW marker exports are a big time saver. So I definitely recommend you use them. Okay, let's see what else. So annotation types, should probably talk about that. So the kinds of annotations that we will find, you can actually edit these. So the annotation types are misreads, inserted words, missed words, pauses, and noises. And while I'm here, I'll show you the annotation filter. So let's say you just want to see the misreads in the book. You can actually filter out globally, like on this whole project, all of the other kinds of annotations. If I hit filter here, it's going to tell me how many words or how many annotations will be ignored. So in the case of if you turned on noise detection, but you actually don't want that anymore, you can just filter out all of the noises here with a quick click of the button. So that's a useful feature there. Kelly, I assume we can do the same for Studio One DAW. Yes, you can. So if I am exporting DAW markers here, Studio One uses MIDI markers. So you just want to select that. And on our support page, we have a short YouTube video for each of the DAWs. So what clicks you have to make in order to actually import them, because they're a bit different with each DAW. But we've gone ahead and filmed, two-minute videos showing you how to import them. So if you have any questions about that, Lindsay, if you want to drop the DAW marker support article in the chat for them as well, that's a great resource. Okay, I should probably speed it up a little bit since we are 2/3 of the way through. But we are almost done here. So let's go to the next step, the audio analysis tool. So after we've gone through and proofed all of our chapters, Kelly, I don't see the annotation filter for my project. How do I turn it on? It should be on by default. Adam, do you have any idea why it wouldn't be showing up? If it's not showing up for you, if there's some issue with your project, if you could share it with Pozotron staff at pozotron.com, we can take a look at that. If you ever have any issue with your projects, there's this share with staff button right here that allows us to come in and take a look.
Yeah, there's no reason it should be. There's no reason it shouldn't be showing up. The only reason it may hide if your screen is too small. So you can either zoom out a little bit, or make your screen full. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. So if I zoom in here, it actually removes that here. So if I zoom out, the easy way to zoom out is holding Control on your keyboard and then spinning the mouse wheel. Good, glad you found it. That's totally fine. Just as a general tip, being very zoomed in Pozotron does make things a bit cramped, especially on our script prep tools. We'll actually give you a warning here. So if you're ever seeing this, we just recommend zooming out the screen a bit until that message pops away. Okay, so the audio analysis tool, this is a really great check. So after you've done all of your recordings, recorded all your pickups, made the files ready to go, you can actually upload your mastered files to Pozotron here, and we will check. We have some presets here for a couple of distributors, so you can check if your files are up to par with their specifications. Let's see if I actually have some that I can show you here. Hopefully in here, nope. Okay, so you can analyze chapters, one, by adding them with the Analyze Chapters button. This will pull in any chapters in your proofing page to the audio analysis page, or you can drag and drop your audio files here. Super quick to upload, and once you hit Show Analysis, it'll show each of the audio files, all of the different specs with like room tone, top tail duration, all those complicated things that I don't understand. It'll show you if they pass or fail the standard of whatever preset you have selected here. You can also add your own preset. So if you're working with a particular publisher with their own specifications, you can set your specifications here and test all of your audio files against it in the future as well. And this is totally free to use, so definitely use it if you need to. Okay, let's see. Custom test specifications, went through all that. Okay, so a couple of best practices, and we mentioned this because there are some common things that you can run into with your Pozotron project. So the most common thing that, well, not the most common, but one of the things you'll see is PDF issues. So if you come into Pozotron and you see that Pozotron has flagged, and let me go back to the other project here. Pozotron is suggesting like 300 mistakes on a 15-minute audio file, and you open it up and it looks like gibberish. Do not be alarmed. This is a very fixable issue, but that just comes from the script that you've uploaded. And I'll see if I can find ligatures here. If I show you a picture, this is the most common reason for that, is when in a PDF, we can see this here, the F and I, it's most commonly with these sorts of characters, T's, things like that. But when they are connected and there's no actual white space surrounding one of the letters, Pozotron will not really be able to read it. And really, no software can do that very well. So a great common test to use to make sure your script will work with Pozotron is to just open it up. So I'll open up my script actually to show you. If I open up my script and I come to any section here and I copy any of the text here, open up Notepad here. You can also do this with Microsoft Word. But if I open this up and I paste it, you can see it comes in looking very nice. You know, this is readable. If you paste it and it's got random characters, you know, total gibberish, that just generally means there's a formatting issue or a ligature issue within your PDF. If that happens, we have tutorials on how to fix it, but definitely just use this Get Help button and let us know about it, and we'll guide you to fix that. But it's nothing to be alarmed about. It's a pretty quick fix once you know what the reason is for it. Upload tests, another suggestion. If you don't copy and paste and test the script first, what we recommend doing is actually just uploading one audio file first. So before you upload all of your 10 hours of audio files, just put one up here. Make sure that Pozotron's proofed it correctly. Then as you go through that chapter, upload the rest of them. That'll just save you time in the long run. And our pricing is based off of how many hours of audio you upload. So it saves from a bunch of complications there with uploading hours that need to be refunded and stuff like that. But we're always happy to help. PDF issues are not your fault at all, so we're totally happy to help you solve that. All right, let's go to the next. It's Pozotron support. Already kind of told you how to get in touch with us. The best option is using this Get Help button, because this automatically gives us some details on what the issue is, what project it is, what the issue is, what your email is, and all that. So you can also upload any screenshots that have an error message you're getting, anything like that, that'll help us get to the bottom of it. But you can always just email help@pozotron.com if you have a general question or workflow question that we can help with as well. Oh, Julia, I'm so sorry. I missed your question. Can you repeat the advice about the wrong character voice? Yes. So let's say we open up a project here and this line of dialogue.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
Let's say that's the wrong character voice. This wouldn't be flagged. Like, let's say he's supposed to be, doing a different character voice. If that happens, all you have to do is select the area that has the mistake and hit this little speech bubble. That will create a custom annotation here. So I can say, this is the wrong character voice. Maybe I used Watson's voice right here instead of Sherlock's. So that's just the tip there for wrong character voices, or really any directorial advice you want to give yourself while proofing. Okay, where was I? Okay, so Pozotron support. We also have a great YouTube channel with a ton of different, including how to fix ligature issues. So this is the first one that pops up for me. It's a very popular video, but fixing PDF issues with Adobe Acrobat.
Looking for an easy.
But our YouTube channel has a ton of videos that go over pretty much every feature. So if you just want to see the different features we have, or our previous webinars, those are all in here under playlists. So definitely check us out. Okay, and submitting support tickets. So generally the help button is the best way for that. I think that's all we had planned. We actually have some time to spare. Adam, anything else I should go over if we have a little extra time?
No, this has all been fantastic. Nothing that I can think of.
Cool. Well, if you have any extra questions, anything else we didn't cover? Oh, actually, the pricing. So I think, Kelly, you had a question on the script pricing tiers. So let me pull that up and we can kind of talk through it. I'm going to use this here. So our pricing, if you ever have questions, it is a bit of a unique pricing model because, well, there's no one else that does this. So we had to make it up. But essentially, we have different subscription plans. And these are different plans for depending on how many hours of audio you're going to be uploading on a monthly basis to Pozotron. And this is an important note here. You can switch plans at any point and are never locked into a subscription. So let's say you are like Robert, you're working on 2 audiobooks at once right now, and you have a busy month. Being on our lower plans is actually not the best price for you. So the more audio you're uploading, you definitely want to check out our other plans because they give you a much better price on the total amount of audio. But I'll start from the bottom here. So pay as you go is our base plan. There is no monthly subscription, but it is our most expensive hourly cost at $14 per hour of audio that you upload to Pozotron. So this is great if you're just trying to test us out for maybe an hour. But if you're going to be doing more than a few hours, our smart rollover plan here is a monthly subscription of $35, but it gives you 4 hours. And these 4 hours on this plan in particular will stay on your account until you use them. So they will roll over month to month. So a lot of our narrators actually stay on smart rollover and they kind of build up a time bank over a couple months. And then if you do go over the 4 hours, you're getting a discounted price of $11.15 per hour instead of the $14 per hour. The narrator plan, definitely recommend if you're doing anywhere from 12 to 20 hours. And we have a great resource on our pricing page. Let's see if I can find that quickly. Okay. So our pricing page here, this is a great estimate tool. So if you have an audiobook you're doing, it's going to be, in your estimation, a 12-hour audiobook. We'll show you your best plan by hitting that button here. So the narrator plan is what we would recommend here. And you can see what you would pay on each of our other plans for that amount of hours in a month. So I definitely recommend using that tool whenever you're unsure. Or just reach out to us and say, hey, I had a busy month. What's the best plan for me? And we'll help you pick the right one. Is there a question in there? I'm looking at my billing page, but I see nothing that tells me which plan I am with currently. Let's see. So if I go to, you can always check your plan by going to your profile up in the top right and hitting this billing button right here. Maybe we should change that and actually say your active plan or something right there.
That is something we are going to change, but it should show if you are under a plan, it should show instead of subscribe, it should show subscribed or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it shows, but that's where it will show in that little group. But we are going to make that more clear because that is something someone mentioned recently.
Awesome. Yeah, so we should make that more obvious in the future, but you can also check your invoices here for any history of what you paid last week, and that'll also show you kind of what plan you're on. But that's a good point. We'll make that more clear. Appreciate the feedback. Okay, she says she only sees Switch for all of them. Well, Kelly, I'll follow up with you afterwards. I can find out exactly, so you know for sure which plan you're on. And yeah, I'll send you an email after this. Okay. Any other questions before we end off and you can go enjoy the rest of your Thursday? If not, thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful. If you have any further questions, one last thing I'll show you here is you can always book a call with us personally to be on a one-on-one consultation. It's totally free of charge. This book a video demo here. This is just a link to our calendars, either myself, Adam, or Daria. We're happy to meet with you and discuss anything Pozotron, anything not Pozotron related, if you just want to chat. But if you have any workflow questions and would like to get into the weeds with your personal situation, we're always happy to do that. So don't be shy. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like any other questions are coming in, so we'll end it a bit early. Thanks again so much for joining, everybody. Have a great day.